football. 20 policemen were injured and 104 people arrested during trouble inside and outside the Stamford Bridge ground.
The fans began pouring onto the pitch just after Sunderland's second goal had put the match beyond Chelsea's reach. As the police tried to check the violence, one officer went down under a hail of improvised missiles, seats torn from the stands. The game was held up briefly as the fans ran riot. Several were trampled when mounted police charged to disperse the roaming mobs. 40 people were injured, 20 of them police, and over 100 arrested as the trouble spilled out into the streets. FA Secretary Ted Croker, who was at the match, deplored the violence, though he still had some sympathy for Chelsea.
It's the clubs who we feel terribly sorry for, because these people are calling themselves supporters of the clubs, and yet they're the last people the clubs want inside. But we're interested in seeing the outcome of this too, because I believe 104 people are arrested. We want to know what punishments are meted out on those people, because this is one of the deterrents. I mean, it's no good punishing the club.
While Chelsea now face an FA inquiry, the first fan to appear in court was today bound over to keep the peace. Jeremy Thompson, ITN Sport, Chelsea.
That's the news. The day the miners' strike officially...
A 3-2 victory over Chelsea has been totally overshadowed by the appalling scenes of crowd violence that turned the semi-final into one of British football's blackest nights. 104 fans were arrested and 40 people injured, many of them police. A top FA inquiry is almost certain to follow. Chelsea chairman Ken Bates had effectively banned TV coverage by demanding a £20,000 fee, but Northern Life obtained pictures shot by the video company hired by Sunderland Football Club to record their memorable night. Roger Thames now reports.
It was the inspired finishing of the former Chelsea player Clive Walker that wrenched the game away from his old club and onto a collision course with the Stamford Bridge lunatic fringe. Walker's 36th minute equaliser wiped out Chelsea's early lead. His second goal after 70 minutes effectively ended the Londoners' Wembley campaign. It was more than the fans, described by Chelsea's own chairman as animals, could take. First, they spilled over onto the pitch, running the length of the touchline with one of them brandishing a chair. But it was on the far side that the worst violence occurred. Seats were ripped out and hurled at the police. First aid men held up a stretcher to protect themselves. Meanwhile, the hooligans on the pitch had succeeded in stopping play till the mounted police, who had been on constant standby, charged at the spectators to herd them back onto the terraces. When play resumed, police had to bring down one invader rugby style. Chelsea goalkeeper Eddie Nisvesti was among those pleading for sanity. In fact, police were even on the pitch when Colin West scored Sunderland's third goal. Some of the tackling by the players was hardly beyond reproach, culminating in Chelsea's David Speedy being sent off after this challenge on Sean Elliott. But by this time, the occasion had long since stopped being a football match. At the final whistle, there was no time for Sunderland celebrations, just a sprint for the safety of the dressing room. Little elation on the terraces either, with any delight probably muted by the prospect of running the gauntlet with the opposing fans before they could begin the long journey home.
Absolutely appalling scenes, weren't they? Well, my colleague Roger Thames actually went down with a coachload of Sunderland supporters. Roger, what was it actually like at the game? We've read about it, we've seen the pictures. What was it like at the game itself?
It was basically frightening. Everybody that I was with did not enjoy the occasion. They'd gone down there obviously to see Sunderland win, but there was no celebrations on the coach. They were just very pleased to get back on it. Certainly, I came out of the ground with one supporter and made a comment to him, and he was literally too frightened to answer because he thought that his Wearside accent would give him away, and he didn't want to face the consequences.
At least you'll be all right with your London accent.
Well, quite. It was I was like the interpreter almost. But I mean, it was not funny at all. In the stands in front of me, somebody was attacked, and most of the trouble was in the stands, not on the terraces.
The supporters weren't segregated, were they?
No, that was the worst thing about it. All the tickets we had were through Sunderland Football Club, officially bought, and there was just no segregation to be seen. And Chelsea supporters, in fact, came in at half-time and were looking for trouble. The police came in. They did a good job, I thought. I was certainly pleased to see them. They came in and hauled a lot of them out. But it was very, very frightening. Nobody enjoyed it. A lot of people will certainly not go back to Stamford Bridge again. And if you want to know what drives people away from football, well, that's it in a nutshell.
Very briefly, there was an article in the programme which could have inflamed the situation even further.
Well, quite. I mean, Chelsea's controversial chairman, Ken Bates, wrote in the programme encouraging supporters to write complaining about the police behaviour at Sunderland in the first leg, if they had complained, and also about the some of the attention that was given out by the Sunderland officials letting people in, well, it was certainly not perfectly run last night, and I really think he's got quite enough to do getting his own house in order. But the worst thing was it took a lot of credit away from a magnificent Sunderland performance.
Well, we got 4 of those players who contributed to that magnificent Sunderland performance here, and as usual, Tyne-Tees full of hospitality. We brought the champagne out. Clive Walker, would you like to pass that along to the end of the line? Chris Turner, Peter Daniel and Steve Berry. Clive, in fact, two-goal hero, you were attacked by an R8 fan, weren't you?
Well, sort of attacked, yeah. He came on the field, but he didn't get near me. Thanks to Joey Jones, I must say.
You were too quick for him, were you?
Well, Joey was, actually. He saw him coming before I did, so he sort of saved me bacon there.
Cheers, Chris. Somebody took a swing at you too, didn't they?
Well, unfortunately, the incidents that happened at the game last night have marred the winning of the semi-final, unfortunately.
You had to sprint off, didn't you? It would have been lovely to salute the fans.
It would have been, you know, we all wanted really to go down and salute the fans, but, you know, we knew, and the manager knew, that it was just impossible, really. We had really to keep quiet about it after the game.
Peter Daniel, let's look on the positive side. You joined early this season from Minnesota Kicks. You couldn't have dreamt that Wembley was just round the corner for you now.
Oh, no, obviously not. I've been to Wembley before and probably enjoyed the experience. But, you know, this seems one of those things, really. The lads, you know, we've done so well in the Milk Cup this season, and obviously we're all looking forward to Wembley.
Steve Berry, even more of a fairy story for you.
Yes, it's tremendous. 8 months ago, I couldn't have imagined playing in a semi-final, never mind Wembley. So it'll be a big occasion for me.
Do you think you'll be able to keep it off your mind in the next 2.5 weeks or so?
I don't think so, no. I find it difficult.
Peter Daniel, you've been involved in the build-up to a Milk Cup final before with Wolves. What's it like? What's it going to be like for these lads?
Well, I should think all the lads are going to enjoy the occasion. I mean, I did. The only disappointing thing from it all, really, is that we've, you know, got so little time to prepare for it, you know, and enjoy it all. But, you know, it's an enjoyable occasion, a day to look forward to, and one you'll always remember. Very briefly, Chris, are you going to try and improve that league form in the meantime?
Well, I think we must do. I mean, nothing else, really. We've got 2 home games coming up. If we can get 6 points from them, that'll set us up very nicely for the final.
Congratulations, lads.
Thank you.
Cheers, Sunderland.
Cheers.
Get mine later. By the way, you may remember I told you last night that TV cameras would not be covering the Chelsea match because their chairman, Ken Bates, wanted £20,000 for 2 minutes of highlights. Well, he didn't like those pictures of the riots we've just shown you either, and they were shot by a video company. This afternoon, he tried to obtain a High Court injunction against our colleagues at Thames Television in London, preventing them from showing the pictures. He failed and was ordered to pay costs. And 2 other footnotes to the Milk Cup final on Sunday, March the 24th. British Rail will be laying on special trains from the northeast on the Saturday night and the Sunday morning. And as Cup fever begins to grip Wearside, a county councillor has suggested that Wearmouth Bridge should be painted in red and white stripes to mark the club's achievement. It's due for repainting this year, and the colour has not yet been decided.